Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're looking at Polestar, but it gets even more interesting. We have a Polestar 2 lookalike, the Ford Capri. It's already catching shade from the Polestar CEO. This is quite interesting, I must say. And there you go. That's the CEO response. That was Thomas Inglis' response. I knew about the US production of Polestar 3. This came as a surprise. Interestingly, he said Polestar 3. And arguably, it looks more like the Polestar 2, probably with a little bit of Polestar 4. But but due to the fact that Polestar is going to be manufacturing the Polestar 3 in the US, I can see what he's trying to do. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like what Ford is trying to do. I was just saying this in my most recent Polestar video that if Polestar is going to build a replacement for the Polestar 2, they must try their best to keep this design. Because this design, it's really iconic. The Polestar 2 design is iconic. There's no other car that looks the same or similar until now. First of all, the comparisons go a long way. Just look at the rear windows. Okay, these parts and the rear end. Honestly, it's a straight up copy. So here you got the American brand Ford copying from the Swedish brand Polestar. So straight into the article, guys basically saying this morning I had to double check whether the Inside EV's CMS was working properly. That's because when I was editing a story about the new 2025 Ford Capri, I was convinced that I was looking at a Polestar 2 instead. Honestly, I was shocked at first when I saw it as well this morning. I was like, wait a minute, that's not a Polestar. Why does it look so similar? I was like, oh my goodness, here comes our first knockoff. And then I read the title and it was like Ford, and I was like, Ford is trying to copy Polestar. Okay, we're winning. Our stocks are up because when you have other companies copying you, you know you're doing something right. And it's like I always say, with every perfect car, there's always a fake knockoff version. This is as fake as you can get, honestly. But what they've done is that they've taken everything about the Polestar 2 and then they've just made it higher and bigger. And I think they're calling the Ford Capri a SUV. Strange. So, of course, it looks like the Polestar 2. Polestar CEO doesn't seem to be very happy. I wouldn't be happy as well. So obviously this was his response to that. I actually haven't seen it for myself. I must check it out. So apparently what's especially funny is that in addition to being a tall sedan with almost crossover ride like height and steep coupe like rear end, the Capri nearly identical dimension to the Polestar 2 as well. The Capri has a wheelbase that's 2 inches longer and the whole package is 4 inches tall overall, but otherwise they're pretty close to one another. It rides on the Volkswagen MEB electric platform. It's already not surprising that Capri is nearly identical in shape and size to the VW ID.5. So this is a close-up look at it. Honestly, you can see that they've tried to keep it as Ford as possible while turning it into a Polestar. And it mostly looks like a Polestar from the side. Honestly, from the side, not all angles, not from this angle, not from a little bit from on the side right there, a little bit of that. That's so Polestar. Come on now. Yeah, look at that. Okay, so yeah, it's a copy. It's a copy. It's a copy. They wanted the Polestar 2. They just needed to change a little few things. Yeah, it's a copy. It's one thing we can say about Polestar is that they don't copy other car companies. When you look at Polestar design identity, Polestar is very good at creating something that is very different from what any other company can offer. While Ford is just like, you know what, we're going to take that design and we're going to Americanize it. And, people in America, they won't acknowledge this. In fact, people in America, I'm pretty sure they're going to think that Polestar copied Ford. As silly and stupid as that sounds, because the Polestar 2 has been here for God knows how long, for a few years now, I can promise you there are some people out there that will be convinced that Polestar copied Ford, when in reality is obviously Ford copying Polestar. It's a sad day, but it's also a huge compliment to Polestar. It's a huge compliment. Ford is copying you? Yeah. But here's the real thing. That's the real thing. It's like the Ford Capri, but everything is improved. Everything is more sexy. Everything is more beautiful. Everything is more refined. It's like, which one would you rather have? I'm taking a Polestar 2 every single day. I mean, look at this thing. You can just sit anywhere and it just looks beautiful. But I can see why they try to copy it. This is not just the only car that's being copied. The Polestar 4 is also being copied. I don't know if that's the way brands are going with coupe SUV crossovers. There are a couple of other cars out there that looks a little bit similar to the Polestar 4. So it just looks like Polestar is being copied from all angles. Okay, Ford, why couldn't you just stick with this? This is beautiful, by the way, Ford. Ford, I don't know if you're listening, but this is beautiful. This is what I expect a Ford car to look like. And by the way, this also looks like a VW. It's probably based on a VW platform. But nevertheless, they've made it somewhat their own, So it's alright. But for some more information on this car, essentially this is inspired by a two-door Ford vehicle that was sold in the 1960s through mid 1980s. But I can guarantee you this will look nothing like that original Ford Capri. The base car features rear-wheel drive and a single electric motor generating 282 horsepower, while a dual-motor all-wheel drive version makes 335 horsepower. Okay, let's find the original Ford Capri. Let's see what's out there. Okay, so that's the original Ford Capri. Yeah. Yeah, you see, why didn't they do something more similar to what Rivian is doing without copying Rivian? Because I can guarantee you're going to have a lot of companies copying Rivian with Rivian's R3 vehicles. Those are going to be copied a lot because the design is so good. Okay, I must admit this looks nice in that color. This this actually looks nice in blue, it's from this angle. It is still it is still a cheap knockoff. Okay, that looks exactly like a Polestar, but a little bit different. Yeah. You see how ugly that thing looks? You see how ugly that thing looks? Yeah, yeah, you guys didn't do a good job. I can tell you that for sure. At least they did an okay job with the interior. Again, with the interior, I feel like it's another knockoff. It looks like the interior of a Lotus. Ironically, I was looking at this today. So, with the dashboard a little bit, I see what they're going for. But it looks like they were inspired by Lotus. Nothing this good, of course. But it looks like they might have been just a little bit inspired by Lotus with the LED light strip, with the dashboard being almost separate levels. Yeah. See? Blue LED light strip, dashboard at the top separated by different levels. Yeah, I mean, it happens. It happens. It happens. And when you create an amazing car, okay, look at that. You see what I mean? Look at that interior and try to convince me it doesn't look somewhat similar to this with the LED light strip, the separated dashboard. Why am I so passionate about this? I'm a huge Lotus fan. I'm also a huge Polestar fan. Understatement of the year. Look at that. You see what I mean? Yeah, yeah. They were inspired, to say the least. But hey, that's what it is. It's like desperation mode for Ford right now. It's really you take the first half of this car. If you forget about the front of this car for a moment, just ignore the front of the car. Everything else looks like a Polestar, and a little bit of the Neo Unvu vehicle. And the Neo Unvu vehicle also looks like a Polestar 4. My goodness. So it looks like everyone is taking design inspiration from Polestar. And honestly, I understand why. Everyone is copying Polestar. You see what I mean? Look at this and look at the Polestar 4. First of all, those headlights are not fooling anyone. Those are purely Polestar headlights, inspired by Polestar to say the least. The rear end, very Polestar similar. And that's the Polestar. They're the Polestar lights, that's the rear end of the Polestar. You cannot tell me that these cars are not similar. They are. Come on now. Come on now. Come side by side. Side by side. Yeah, yeah. The interesting thing, of course, this car, the Polestar 4, I actually remember when it came out. It was like last year, great times, by the way, when this car was first unveiled. And early this year, the Envy, or at least mid this year, the Envy L60 was released. So it's not just Ford. Neo and other brands are also taking design inspiration from Polestar. And I completely understand why. The Envy vehicle is actually quite nice. Look at that. That's not ugly. But it does take inspiration from Polestar. Come on now. That's without a doubt. So Polestar is leading the industry in vehicle design. This is what it tells me. Polestar is leading the industry in vehicle design. And it doesn't surprise me because Polestar design vehicles that you don't see. When Polestar comes out with a vehicle, you're questioning like, I've never really seen a vehicle like this before. This is quite incredible. When Neo designs and make a vehicle, I'm like, yeah, I've never really seen a vehicle like this before. This is really impressive all round. But with the Envy brand, it seems like they just took a little bit of inspiration from Polestar. And that's not going away. This is how the industry works. It's not going to change. I mean, the closer you look is the more it looks like the Polestar 4. But this thing, straight up copy, straight up copy, straight up copy. You won't convince me differently. I say this in all to say that despite Polestar difficulties that they're going through, Polestar is there inspiring other brands. Other brands are following Polestar. Polestar is leading the world in EV design. And my guess, there will be other copycats. You want to know why? The Polestar 6 is the one that will really be copied. I can tell a lot of other car brands out there, they're dying inside because they didn't come up with this idea before Polestar did. They're copying. They're going to copy this. They will also copy the Polestar 3. They will also copy the Polestar 3. You heard it here first. This car is beautiful in all shapes and form. They will also copy the Polestar 3. And the beautiful Polestar Precept, the Polestar 5. This will be copied as well. Basically, all of Polestar cars will be copied because Polestar has a way of making vehicles and refining it in all detail. Truly beautiful, truly beautiful. And other brands out there, they're dying to copy this. They are dying to copy this. From Polestar exterior to interior, other brands will be copying Polestar because they design vehicles that you've never really seen before. It makes you wonder, like, wow, it's like, yeah, they will be copied. But this is where we'll end the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to see more. Leave a like, leave a comment, and I will see you in our next video. Peace.